All right, this movie is based on a true story centered around mathematics. It's hard to make a drama based on the concept of mathematics and logistics. And of course, if you're going to do that, you're going to hire Jim Parsons as well. He's famous for The Big Bang Theory. Yep. This is Hidden Figures.
Yeah, which is funny.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
What I considered one of the best films of 2016.
Yeah, this is my first time watching it too because I missed it. I think it was one of those ones where it was in theaters during the Oscars, and I just didn't get time to go out and see it. And part of me too was kind of looking at the trailers, going, "Okay, like I don't know if the trailers just didn't really grab me," and probably because we're looking at a film with mathematicians as the heroes, and I was just wondering how is that going to really bring me in? Because we get, we get English teachers as heroes.
Yeah, a lot of
usually get. Math teacher, kind of stuff being heroes. Yeah. So I kind of passed this film over, didn't actually get a chance to watch it until yesterday. So definitely we're going to break down Hidden Figures as we keep our time machine in 2016 here.
We're going to do analytics.
Analytics, yeah. We're going to, hopefully the numbers will make sense.
Analyze, yeah.
Kyle and Nick on Film, welcome.
Welcome back to the show, and if you're new, this is a review show. That's not a reaction. We just simply review, and hopefully it entices you to watch it as well. I'm Nick, and this is Kyle. If you are new, welcome. Loyal listeners, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Check out the options for the Patreon. Become a team member and tell us what to do. Today we're going to talk about Hidden Figures.
Yes, so Hidden Figures is the untold true story of three African-American mathematicians, Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, who faced a discrimination on pretty much a daily basis while working to win the space race at NASA. Seemingly simple tasks like using the restroom, going to school, and attending meetings are made all the more difficult through the layers of racial and gender discrimination within NASA.
Okay, it's great because it's not centered so much about race, but also about gender stereotypes as well. That can't be in a meeting, and it can't be, they have to be fact-checked all the time, as well as you get in the beginning of the movie when they get pulled over, and all of a sudden it's almost like the cop says, well, why are you doing it?
Yeah, it's kind of all about that level of prejudice that is, the whole film is so about like judging the book by its cover and how they viewed, black people and just women, and now black women as like, they're not going to be working at NASA. It's kind of that level of the way that we look at people through our racial lenses, through our gender lenses, and how even when they are doing some of the most important work, they just can't rise above. And I think the frustrating part about her, like even the attending the meetings part where he's told, you can't go, and it's almost like Jim Parsons' character is looking for a reason to say no. Like he's kind of like, do I say it because she's black, or do I say it because she's a woman? Like how do I keep her from progressing? And it's frustrating to see that because again, she is the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, and you can't tell him. Right.
Yep.
Of course, this is directed by Theodore Melfi. He, prior to this, did the movie St. Vincent, which is kind of a same kind of element. You don't judge a book by its cover, that even though somebody may look like a jerk or may dress slobby, there's some elements of good to him that's probably better good than you are.
Yeah, in that case, Bill Murray actually is kind of a jerk, but he is like, a good person within the layers of a jerk. Yeah. Whereas these are people that are generally good people, and just because of the way they were born, whereas Bill Murray's character in St. Vincent always had the choice of how to be and chose jerkishness still. I was a big fan of St. Vincent when it came out. It kind of flew under the radar, and I didn't connect that Melfi had directed Hidden Figures. I can really connect to the same director through those films, but having seen the film, I kind of recognize that now. We get three main characters here who I think are pretty equally balanced in how their story is played out. Yeah. That's one issue that I think some people might find is that there are certain elements to the true versions of these stories that are shifted. I believe the bathroom thing actually was a Mary Jackson situation. Jackson was played by...
And it was resolved a little bit earlier than was put in the movie, but you have to put it in the movie as the conflict.
But what I appreciate, though, is that, it doesn't do a disservice to any one of the women by juggling these elements, because all three of them are facing the same problems through different lenses. Like, I like the fact that we get Octavia Spencer's Dorothy Vaughan is literally, she is the supervisor, but she's not being credited as such because of her race and because of her gender, but she's doing the work anyway. Yeah. And it's like, it's so incredibly frustrating. Yeah. Janelle Monáe's character is, again, like, she just wants to progress, and she never gets the forward progression because she can't go to school because she's black and she's a woman.
Which I like, there's not a lot of Janelle in this movie, but she definitely makes up for it for the amount of time she's in. She's wonderful.
She exploded in 2016, really, because she had this and she had Moonlight, and then she followed up with Harriet, and now she's doing feature films where she's the lead. And I honestly didn't realize that she was a musician before this. I don't follow music as well as I could.
No, I
did. So when she burst on the scene, I was like, have I seen her somewhere before? And I'm sure I have.
But you can see talent there with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't have a lot to work with, a lot of the scenes, but she's in there wonderfully, and she makes her staple. This is also, the cinematography is Mandy Walker. She got famous for doing the cinematography for the big epic movie Australia with Hugh Jackman, which was big and epic, but it was also big epic. But it looked beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
if you said anything about the movie Australia, I would say aesthetically it looked marvelous.
Oh, yeah. Well, and she also did last year's Mulan, the live-action film version for Disney, which I saw for the Oscars. It was incredibly well shot. And again, like, there's no issue with the cinematography in this film at all. It's gorgeously shot. It might be considered maybe a little bit too squeaky clean, you know? But
that's what I put in my notes too. It's a little more academic than I want it to be, because it's almost, you set the camera still, and it has a certain level eye line, constantly the eye line which you get trained on. That's a little more maybe too annoying, but you have to work on
the thing about that I think it matches the director's intention, because let's look at a film like Hidden Figures, Theodore Amalfi directed, PG rated, and compare it to another film about, like, you know, progression for racial equality, like Selma. Selma uses a lot of the N-word. Selma uses a lot of violence, a lot of swearing. Like, this is a film where you don't specifically need to make it R-rated in order to showcase the struggle. And I think that's what makes this movie so powerful, is that this is a movie you could show to a classroom without having them bring in certificates. You know? This is one that's accessible, and I think having young people being able to access this film, having people that don't want to necessarily hear the words, but like be in the room and like see what's going on, that matches. And maybe the squeaky clean concept kind of matches that kid-friendly element that's at play here.
Right, you're emphasizing how you want to clean up so it could be filmed in a family-friendly
Yeah, because you almost always assume that with a PG movie. I have not seen PG movies. I mean, I don't remember the last PG movie I saw, because they just don't happen. You either go straight G or you go like PG-13. So I was expecting like people to drop like that one F-bomb you can get in a PG-13 movie, but it didn't happen. So I was actually surprised that they were able to fit as much as they were. And maybe it's because they aren't just facing with the racial inequality, but it's the gender inequality as well. And I think they can play those sides easily then.
And I was referring to more like the making of the cinematography is a little more overly academic.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
like
shot composition.
Shot composition is just stiff. There's really no dynamic piece to it, and it's really because what you're like, you always, your favorite phrase, what you're winning is with the dialogue and the emphasis of their characters and how they're interacting. So there's really no emphasis to go clever with your cinematography. Yeah, and I now I'm looking at my notes. I was like, this is Mandy Walker's accomplished cinematography. I've seen it with Australia. And she's not doing anything to show off her marvelous talents, but you don't really need to do that in this movie. Yeah. It's winning on everything. You could just do the academic shots.
Well, I think she showcases flair when she's trying to present the flair of what's going on in the film. Yeah. Like when she's trying to elevate it. Like there's that scene when Catherine, played by Taraji P. Henson, I think she had to run to the bathroom while she was working on the big board. And she was, like getting up on the ladder.
Right.
And there's a scene, I think, where the shot composition like highlights these people as they walk up to it, and then she gets to kind of pan up, and you get to see how much work she's put into this. That's where she adds a little bit of that visual flair, but for the most part, it's a little bit, especially when they're at NASA. If you'll notice the cold to warm on color choices, NASA's very cold, but their outside lives are so
the living room and everything is a little more
spend together. Yeah,
it's almost like they're alive. Not so well. The working environment, right? But a little more inviting, a little more warm when they're not at work. Aldous Hodge is in there as well as Mahershala. I can never say his name.
Mahershala Ali. Thank you. The 4400.
He practiced.
No. He was on a show called The 4400 back when I was like a teenager, and I loved this show. But he was always on the thing where like every time his name was on the credits, I was like, how about dang it, I didn't say it right.
Mahershala Ali, but. Aldous Hodge is going to play Hawkman in Black Adam, and Mahershala, right?
Yep, Mahershala
is going to play the new Blade. So they're going to be superheroes.
That's true. That's
in
true.
Upcoming films, and they're both in this movie, really being kind of supporting roles, which is nice.
Yeah, and again, Mahershala did well with Moonlight again, just like with Janelle Monáe. They again both kind of had a resurgence. I don't know if he had been in anything where he had been as recognized until Moonlight. He was in Benjamin Button, ironically, with Taraji P. Henson.
No,
they both
no.
played lovers in that one too.
Yes, yes.
But I don't know if he had really been on the scene. I definitely don't think Aldous Hodge got actual recognition, like working in the like big time critical revision.
Well, now he
until like One Night in Miami last year, where he played
last year. Right, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now he's he's gonna be Hawkman in the Black Adam.
Yep.
So yeah, it's nice to see the men are gonna be the super elevate the movies.
And his storyline wise, that was maybe the one thing where I wanted to see a little bit more, was like I felt like they were afterthoughts in the film, and not that the male characters have to have a big presence in a female dominated movie.
Right.
But I think there was a level of they're in the movie. I just want to see a little bit more of those home interactions, because Aldous Hodge, when we see him early on in the film, he's kind of seen as like women can't go to school, like, and I wanted to see more of the layering there, because he has the layering later on, and it's just if we had a little bit more time there, and then Mahershala's character, his again, I wanted to kind of see what it was like him coming home, the differences in racial inequality from when he left to when he came back. He mentions it, but it would be nice to have had even just a conversation about adding that level. It would have just added something more to the narrative about placing it in time.
This is also featuring Kevin Costner.
Yes.
Kind of playing a very starchy, stand-backish person,
Mm-hmm.
but is he or does he has to be for the job he's at?
It's weird, because again, Kevin Costner, I don't think he's ever bad. I think he sometimes picks bad movies, but I don't think he's ever like not putting his forefront in the film. I like that he treats Katherine Johnson the same way he treats everybody else, and the layering of that. There were some people during the civil rights movement, there were some white people who were seeing differences, and there was some who didn't see the difference. And he was one of those guys where he's like, I love that line where he says, everybody at NASA pees the same color. And it's like, it's such a thing that like Kevin Costner's the only one who could say that and not have it be completely stupid. But it's a nice moment when you see like how he views people of different colors. He's like, we all have the same internal mechanisms, And then looking at Jim Parsons, who I think Jim Parsons judges her more being a woman than he does for her skin color. And then you get Kirsten Dunst, who says, I'm not racist, but everything
but
she
here's
does
I'm not racist, but blah, blah, blah,
it
blah,
presents
blah.
so many different versions of the white characters that we get, so it's not, just the white guys are all bad, because I do think that this time there was a movement for some white people and not for others.
Right, like Kirsten's character does not believe she's a racist, but she's so conditioned to the environment.
Yeah,
and she seems you have to take a bock in the head to say,
she says, I'm not racist, but internally I accept racism. Because she says, I can't let you have the supervisor position because they don't give it to black women.
Yeah.
And it's like, that internally is allowing it to happen. If you're not fighting for your person, you're allowing it. You're stepping back. And so that's kind of the thing where I like that they give us different layers of our white characters in the same way that they give us different layers in our black characters.
So like Kevin Costner's character is a little more harsh, he's a little more standish, off, not really a people person, but he's much more accepting of other people. Where Jim Parsons' character, which is not really a real person, it was a conglomerate.
Yeah, there was a few of those, I think.
Which is he's a little more soft, but he's very stubborn in accepting people. So it's that contrast that when you're a writer, you always like to write.
Yeah.
You almost like it'll be lazy, it'll be standoff and harsh and brutal, where they almost play off each other. It's almost a running parallel. It's a balanced act for a movie based on mathematics.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. And so you get Costner when he's doing, I think Costner again, he plays everybody the same way. But what I like about him too is that he doesn't even view the gender difference as much. Like when she comes back from 40 minutes away and he goes, "What have you been doing?" Yeah. I would almost feel like it's obvious that someone's going to the bathroom, but he's not afraid to ask him, what are you doing?
He has to do it around everybody else to make a justification why the change. Right?
Yeah, and I like that he goes after her in the group where he's like, I'm not going to view you as just as different. I'm not going to pull you in my office. I'm going to find out what are you doing so that we can fix it. And then even with that scene, I would call it the witch hunt scene where they bring her in and they wonder how she figured out these mathematical things with classified information. And I like that there's that interrogation room kind of feeling to it. But again, he doesn't treat her any differently. He's just like, why doesn't she have the information? Why doesn't she get what she needs to?
Overall, and I checked my notes, there's a lot of spacing in this movie. There's not really a lot of intimacy. I mean, a lot of people don't even stand this close in the movie.
Yeah.
So there's
a
very
COVID-friendly movie.
yeah. So, but I think that's intentional that these people who have a lot of interactions are not going to be very intimate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, even at NASA, they're not going to be even compact. So there's a lot. It's an intentional visual effect.
Yeah.
There's not going to be real intimacy, even though how much involvement they are with each other.
Yeah, well, there's that, again, the way that these sets work and the production design work is the spacing isn't even just between characters, but it's just large, open, empty spaces.
Yeah.
Where there's so much air that's keeping you, not even from each other, but from the exits, but from the, the light sources coming in from the windows. And I'm calling out, again, that scene where she's asking why I can't go into the meeting. Because every time you guys go into this meeting, you get information that has become defunct by the time it gets to us. And I think that scene, again, is a large open space where there's three people arguing, and it's just a giant room.
Well, they are. Not only that, you put depth to where people are standing. So it's a clever way of doing the filmmaking of there's a lot of space that needs to close in to solve the problems of race and gender.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that happens, too, with Dorothy's supercomputer room, where, again, like, even from the moment she gets in there, it's just a big empty room, and she, like, sees potential in it.
Yes. Yeah. So, and this the whole trifecta. The network is a trifecta of the three girls working together in three different avenues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, overall, I still regard it as one of the best movies of 2016. But I don't think what I think with the minuses is so the shot's so basic, so standard that there's really it's like after why is this a best picture? I don't see anything dynamic with the editing or something really that punches it out, put it into an academic category. It's just overall a good movie.
It's a solid movie. A crowd pleaser is the way I went with it too, because it's a movie that I don't think the trailers did the film justice. I don't think they showcased what the film was really about, and it's a tough sell for a movie. I think you're just knowing like.
Hey, you want to watch a movie about women in mathematics and space, and a lot of people go,
Well, yeah, and it's just, it kind of like rides that line where it's like, we also have to be a space movie, but we have to talk about race, but we also have to talk about gender, and we have to talk about mathematics and all that too. And also be a film that you can take your kids to, because I do think that's what they could have sold it on, because they did do.
I think
after the film came out, they like started doing like screenings, like where the cast and crew would actually pay for like whole theaters to be free, so that you could go in and see the movie. And I think we don't get a lot of those anymore that we used to get. Those movies that like you could take your family to, where it's not a kid movie, but it's kid friendly and it showcases you at a young age to new things. And so that's what I really liked about it. My one actual flaw in the film, I think, is I don't know if the music worked continually.
I agree.
The film.
Yeah, I don't think that's what really is makes it kind of not really full.
Yeah, and what's interesting
Even
is you
visually
get
full.
three musicians working on this film that each have done great work on their own. You get Hans Zimmer, you get Benjamin Wallfish, who I loved his score for It. And then you also get Pharrell Williams, who was a producer on the film and then kind of took over and
three well-accomplished music, and it's almost like too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah, because there's that part when Taraji P. Henson's character Catherine is going to the bathroom and back, and they replay that musical number.
Yep.
The only reason it really stuck in my head is it's also the Blu-ray menu song. So like I had it playing while I was making lunch, and like then I went down to watch the movie, and so that song I heard every time I played. I heard the menu again, but it seemed to me like that song didn't really fit in the movie, and it wasn't because it was a new song in an old movie. It didn't really mix well and jive well with the score that like Zimmer had worked on and the one that Wallfish had put together. It just didn't come together, because there was a similar way in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which a lot of people hate this movie, but I kind of dig certain elements of it. And I think the score of that movie,
good for you.
Also Hans Zimmer. No, but it's also Hans Zimmer and Pharrell Williams, and they do that electronic score whenever like electro is going around. They've got like the chanting and the electro music and stuff like that. That's a combination between Pharrell and Hans Zimmer.
Hans can pick out, not only do an entire music score, but he can pick out pieces, snippets that would emphasize, like he did in Man of Steel.
Yeah, and I think here's just something where it just three guys went together, made a score, and I just don't know if it gelled.
Not at all. No, that's the minus, and I agree with there's nothing musically that kind of encapsulates what's going on.
Yeah. So other than that, though, I found it was a crowd pleaser. It was an enjoyable movie. A little schmaltzy at times, but I can deal with schmaltzy if it's in the sake of like a feel good movie. Like I felt good watching the movie. We don't need all of our movies to be
I like the time when John Glenn takes the time to say hi to everybody.
Yep. And I like that. Like there must have been something like that contract, because they cast a 27-year-old to play a 41-year-old. I hope I look good at 41 when I'm like looking like 27-year-old John Glenn there going through. But
But John Glenn was famous for being that kind of a guy.
Yeah. So I really appreciated the film. I was a crowd pleaser that I really enjoyed. I also liked too that it was self-aware of like other space movies. Like I got to assume that shot of them walking slow-mo down the hall was supposed to be the right stuff.
Right stuff.
And like
Definitely.
Armageddon and like all these like space movies where they get that like long hallway track. But this time we're showing the people that you don't see, you know? And this is one of my favorite things about these kinds of movies, though, is I didn't know this story beforehand.
No, I don't think anybody did. I didn't know it.
I think it might have been unclassified, like, years later, like, who had worked on the project, because I don't know if I feel like it was
right,
classified
when it came out, I was like,
are
you kidding me? Did you make this up?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And it's also the book it's based on was not even finished being written when the rights sold, which seems to be popular with space movies. 2001 had that as well. But
that means the agent's like, this is good stuff.
Yeah, so
the agent's like, this is going to be good stuff. I want to sell the movie rights before anybody gets on a book.
So few people probably even had the chance to read the book before the movie actually came out. So I think it surprised a lot of us. That's why I like it.
That's what happened to Fight Club.
No. Yeah, exactly.
The agent was like, this is good stuff. This should be a movie before the book came out.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, we both recommend Hidden Figures. I think it was an enjoyable movie. One I'm sad I missed years ago, and it took me 5 years and your insistence to actually watch it. So
a little bit, it's kid friendly.
Yes,
it's family friendly. Yeah.
But this is a movie that like if I had kids, which I don't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I do out there. But if I had kids, I would show them this movie, and I would allow them to see like not only a great space movie, but a great movie that about gender, about race, and about everything else in between. That kind of really like teaches some lessons, but it doesn't feel overtly involved. And I compare this film, you guys are going to hate me when I compare this film, but I'm going to compare this film to Green Book, because I think both of these movies kind of hit that Oscar love when the time came, and they both do surface level race. But I don't think that's inherently bad. I just think like you have to look at it as like it's accessible then. And I think, you know what, if it does even one bit of
doesn't really have to go salty.
Well, that's the thing is, if it does even a little bit to make you think about your own internal prejudices and see the good in coming together, then I think it's done its job. And so that's why I like the movie.
Have you seen Hidden Figures?
Yeah, let us know down below. It's not Hidden Fences like everybody at the Oscars that year kept saying.
Hey, bonus points if you're a mathematician.
Yeah, let us know. Is the
because I'm married to one.
Any problems with mathematics in the movie? I'd like to know your thoughts on that.
I'm married to one, so yeah.
Oh yeah, so she was probably pausing and pointing out a lot.
Like she does in Big Bang Theory, she checks out the equations, right? Yeah, she pauses and look at the equations and make sure they're right.
That's fair. I do that with movies about writers. I'm like, nobody would tell that story. Nobody would do that. Let us know in your comment section down below what you thought about Hidden Figures. Do you think it deserved more Oscar love in the year because it was nominated for 3 awards but didn't win any of them? Let us know in the comments down below. We want to hear your thoughts on it. Yeah. And as Nick mentioned before, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out that Patreon. We really appreciate everything that you guys do for us.
Don't hide. Yeah, don't hide from us.
Yeah, we'll see you. But once again, thank you guys. You can find all my film reviews on goatfilmreviews.com.
You can find my podcast, the St. Paul Filmcast, anywhere you find podcasts, and check it out. We got some great new guests coming up.